Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the game preview ahead of Everton's Premier League fixture tomorrow afternoon against Brighton and Hove Albion at the Amex Stadium. Another difficult away fixture for Everton, 3 in a week for Rafa Benitez' Everton side as Everton take on unbeaten Brighton. 2 games, 2 wins for Brighton, currently sitting 4th in the Premier League table, and a really positive start for Graham Potter's side. And this makes to be a really difficult game for Everton tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, we went away to Brighton earlier on last season. Very different situation, very different scenario. There was no fans in the stadium. I think we beat them 4-2. Oh no, sorry, we didn't go away to Brighton. They come to Goodison Park, didn't they? And we beat them 4-2. It was the game that James Rodriguez scored the 2 goals. And even in that game, it was difficult at times. We made it difficult for ourselves. But this, of course, makes to be a much more difficult test, I feel, going away to a Brighton side in front of a packed-out Amex Stadium and a team that are in full confidence at the moment and are playing some really nice football. We know what you get from Graham Potter's side. There was a lot of Evertonians who actually wanted Graham Potter to be the new Everton manager before, obviously, Rafa Benitez was announced. And the reason for that is because of the football that he plays. He's a very young manager. He's got good philosophies. He's embedded them philosophies within Brighton. He works directly with their director of football. And they work together to build the team and to build the squad. And yes, okay, for the last few years, Brighton's goal maybe has just been to survive and to sort of float around and try and stay in the Premier League. Whereas I think, they're looking forward, they'll probably have goals that are a little bit grander, maybe breaking into that top half of the table. And then, of course, probably trying to challenge for Europe. But it's all about recruitment and the players that they're bringing in and the way in which Graham Potter plays football. And he plays a really nice brand of football, to be fair to him. It doesn't always work. Sometimes Brighton come up against sides that are just better than them and have better players and play a better style. But typically, they do well in games of football, as shown this season. A 2-1 victory on the opening day against Burnley, going down 1-0 as well at Turf Moor in front of a packed out Burnley crowd, going down within the opening couple of minutes and managing to get back into that game, fighting their way back in and picking up a really important win. To put it into context, I think Brighton were the only away side to win on the opening weekend or the opening day, which is mad really, considering obviously the home advantage and having crowds back in stadiums. We've seen how much it helped Everton against Southampton on that opening day, going 1-0 down and getting back into the game. It was the adverse effect for Burnley, and Brighton had managed to get the 3 points. They then obviously played Watford last weekend at the Amex Stadium and beat Watford 2-0, and Neil Maupay scoring in that game. Neil Maupay scoring in both games as well, obviously being linked with Everton over the last 24 hours or so. Make of that what you will. McAllister scored the winner in the game against Burnley, and obviously Shane Duffy, who as ex-Everton, scored the second against Watford. They also had a midweek win 2-0 against Cardiff City in the Carabao Cup second round. So 3 wins out of 3 for Graham Potter and his Brighton side at the start of this season. And like I said, it makes for a really difficult game for Everton, a difficult side to go to, especially given the form that Brighton are in, and especially given the fact that they've had such a good start to the season. Obviously, the aim has got to be that we go out and win this game. Everton ourselves have had a good start to the season, obviously 3 points on the opening day against Southampton, a good points against Leeds, I suppose you could call it. Yes, we would have liked more, and yes, maybe on another day we should have gotten all 3 points, but all things considered, a point at Ellen Road, certainly given the circumstances of the first game back with fans in the stadium, is a good point. It is a good point. At the end of the day, City's kicking off here. I'm not too sure why City's kicking off, but there you go. It's a good point. And then obviously Everton getting a 2-1 win against Huddersfield Town earlier on in the week in the second round of the Carabao Cup made that one a little bit difficult for ourselves. But at the end of the day, again, a win's a win, and we're in the hat for the next round, and ultimately that is all that matters. Obviously, Everton have been linked with about 432,000 players over the last 48 hours or so. We're not really going to go into transfers too much on this live stream. We're going to do another live stream in a couple of hours or so, talking about transfers, talking about Richarlison, Moise Keane, obviously Everton... Everton massively linked with Porto winger Luis Diaz in the last couple of hours, so we're going to talk about Luis Diaz as well, but that will all be in a separate live stream within the next few hours or so. We're strictly going to keep this one about the game because we've got a game of football tomorrow. I know it's transfer deadline day and the window slams shut on Tuesday, and you know it's the last few days of the transfer window, so everything's a bit manic at the moment, everything's going off, but we have got a game of football that we will be playing, and that obviously we you know the intention is to go out and win. Rafa Benitez was talking about Brighton. He gave an injury update and said that we have some players coming back and some missing. Delph has a problem with his shoulder, so he will not be available. He spoke about James Rodriguez. He says these players are our players. Still, we have names to be working on one way or another. Today is just speculation, so I cannot say much. Sorry about that. He spoke about games and performances, and he said, we'll have bad games and problems. I'll make mistakes with substitutions, but I want to see the spirit, desire, and commitment as it will give us the points in the season. He was asked about Brighton. He said they're doing well. Obviously, I could follow last season, and they finished well. I think it's important to have a balance with what you want to do and what you can do. You have to praise them because they are doing well. He spoke about the Moise Kean situation, the red card. He said during the game it was difficult because I couldn't see the incident. He's a young player, he's suspended now, and that's what we have. He needs to learn for the future. And then he said the reality is he is our player. We have to deal with the transfer window. We have to wait a few days and see where we are, and maybe after the next press conference it will be easier. So in regards to injury updates, as he said, we know Fabian Delph isn't available for tomorrow's game. Not that that's a big miss whatsoever, but Fabian Delph isn't available. He has picked up a shoulder injury. Didn't give a specific update regarding Ben Godfrey, but we do know Ben Godfrey travelled with the Everton squad for the game against Huddersfield in midweek, so the assumption is that Ben Godfrey will be available. Hopefully available to start, hopefully available from the off, but if not, almost certainly available to make the match day squad in some form, at least hopefully anyway. Look, again, it wouldn't surprise me massively if Ben Godfrey isn't in the starting 11 tomorrow, and that's probably for the reasons that he hasn't had enough time to prepare for the season. Obviously the season come along, he played in the pre-season games, and then all of a sudden, you know, we obviously had to isolate because of COVID and stuff, and you know, he spent a week, 2 weeks, 10 days, something like that, completely out of training and stuck at home. So maybe Ben isn't at that optimal level of fitness to play yet, but we know he's back with the squad and we know he's out of his isolation. Don't think he mentioned James Rodriguez individually as well and whether or not he'll be available, but we've seen via training videos and pictures over the last couple of days that he is back in training as well, so hopefully he will be available. And look, ultimately Rafa Benitez is right. I mean, who am I to tell Rafa Benitez whether he's right or wrong? But Rafa Benitez is right. There is a fine line between understanding what you want to do and understanding what you can and can't do, and I think that's something a lot of managers maybe get wrong over the years during their career, is they maybe have these ideas of grandeur, or they have these ideas of what they really want to do and what they really want to implement, and although they may understand that, they haven't got the facilities to do that, or they haven't got the playing staff, or they haven't got the structure or the infrastructure to make those ideas become a reality. They still persist with it anyway, and that ends up being the downfall of those managers, is that they don't change it up, they don't adapt, they don't look at the situation and think, well, okay, I might want us to be here by doing this, but at the moment we can't be there, so we're going to be here by doing that instead. And I do think Graham Potter is a manager that understands both sides of it. You know, look, Graham, there's no doubt in how good of a coach Graham Potter is. He's a really, really, really good coach. I mean, all of the stats last season would tell you that Brighton were a centre forward away from being a top four side. The chances that they created, they didn't really concede an awful lot of goals, and if they would have had an out-and-out number 9, a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if you will, they would have seriously been, I'll put it this way, a lot higher up the table, maybe even challenging for those European places. And a lot of that is down to the philosophies and the you know, the training methods and the ideas and the ideologies of Graham Potter and himself as a manager, and how good of a coach he is. And he's shown over the last couple of years that he is a really, really good coach, and he's got this Brighton side playing some lovely football. I still think they have that issue that they had last season. I still don't think they've got an out-and-out number 9 to score them the goals, but look, they've started the season well. They've scored, 6 goals in 3 games, 4 goals in 2 Premier League games, only conceded 1. So they've had a really good start to the season. We know some of the players that they've got at their disposal. Yves Bissouma, very, very good footballer, very, very good centre midfielder, one that I'll certainly be looking out for, a player that I would love at Everton. We know the likes of Neil Maupay, who Everton have been linked with over the last 24 hours or so. Again, maybe not that prolific out-and-out goal scorer, but certainly, a player that will chip in and score goals. 2 goals in 2 games for Neil Maupay in the Premier League this season, which is a good return considering we're only a couple of weeks in. And he will almost certainly score goals. Whether that's at the rate that Brighton need him to be scoring is a different question, but he will almost certainly always score goals. Shane Duffy, we know. Tarek Lamptey, who's a very, very good young fullback, of course. Danny Welbeck, we know he's got the experience. If he can stay fit, he's a good goal scorer. We saw that on a couple of occasions last season. The likes of Adam Lallana, McAllister, Aaron Connolly, Trossard as well. So they've got a decent squad, Brighton, and they've got a squad full of players that can certainly trouble Everton tomorrow if we don't turn up. And as Rafa Benitez said, give that desire, give that commitment, give that passion, because sometimes you will make mistakes as a manager. You'll make mistakes with team selections, you'll make mistakes with substitutes. Sometimes as a player, you'll make mistakes with decisions on the pitch, what decision you make. But if you always give 110% and you always give that commitment and that desire and that passion, then you will pick up a lot of points, even with making mistakes. You'll pick up a lot of wins, and this will be a difficult one for Everton tomorrow. It will do. I think Everton can win this game, absolutely, and I think Everton's aim should be to go out and win this game. I think, although, again, Graham Potter's a very good manager and Brighton are a very good, Brighton are a good side. I think Everton are a better side, and I think Everton have got a better manager, personally, anyway, and that should show tomorrow. The likes of Damari Gray, who's been on fire over the last, couple of weeks or so, first couple of games of the season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who of course has scored a couple of goals in the first 2 games. He'll be rife in confidence. Richarlison, who Rafa Benitez has spoken about today. There has been a lot of speculation about Richarlison over the last 24, 48 hours. We spoke about him on a live stream yesterday about PSG potentially coming in for him. That has seemed to have hottened up massively over the last 24 hours or so. ESPN Brazil, various other sources across the world saying that PSG have basically added Richarlison to their list of Kylian Mbappe replacements. Richarlison's agents inside and teams are over in Paris trying to discuss a deal, and it could leave Everton, obviously, again, 3 days, 4 days before the end of the transfer window without arguably our best player. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about it in this stream because we are going to do a separate stream in a couple of hours or so talking about transfers. And we spoke about Richarlison yesterday and why I think it would be borderline criminal if Everton was to allow Richarlison to leave at this point in the transfer window without any replacement coming in. Obviously, we've been linked with Luis Diaz, who we'll talk about later on. But I just think it's a massive, massive risk to allow a player like Richarlison to leave a couple of days before the transfer window with no guarantee that you're going to be able to replace him. However, Rafa Benitez was talking about Richarlison today, and he, I suppose you could say, reassured Evertonians. I don't think any of us really feel reassured because we know football and we know Everton, and it doesn't matter what a player or a manager says, it doesn't mean that the opposite thing isn't going to happen a day later. But he did sort of reassure us, didn't he, by coming out and saying that, we will not consider selling Richarlison. He's our player, and we hope to see, we hope he can score many goals for us this season. Again, obviously, we know that there's been previous conversations with Rafa Benitez and Richarlison about him coming back to Everton and giving us all for one more season, and that was part and parcel of the reasons to why he was allowed to go over to the Olympics and go and play in the Copa America in the summer. So I fully expect Richarlison to be available for this game tomorrow, regardless of what happens in the next couple of days. I expect him to be, on that plane to Brighton later today. I expect him to have trained at Finch Farm today, or training will train later today, should I say? And I expect him to be a part of the Everton side tomorrow afternoon, and let's hope that he is. Like I said, difficult game, but Everton, for me, have got more than a good enough group of players to go out and get the 3 points. It'll be tough in front of the Amex Stadium. I think it's their second game back in front of fans, obviously after the Watford game last week. But Brighton will be full of confidence. Brighton will be absolutely full of confidence. They'll be wanting to go for 3 wins out of 3. They'll be wanting to go for 4 out of 4. They'll be wanting to get to the international break like we did last season, unbeaten, and have a really, really positive start, because this Brighton side and Graham Potter will know that the league league will only get increasingly more difficult as the months and months go on. You know, and certainly for a side like Brighton, who over the last couple of seasons have been fighting and toying with those sorts of relegation places, and whether or not they'll go down or whether or not they'll stay up, etc, etc. So, you know, again, I really do think Graham Potter will be looking at this game thinking, right, we pick up as many points as we can in the first few weeks of the season, and that maybe takes a little bit of pressure off us towards the back end of the season. But that's up to Everton and Rafa Benitez to go out and just completely throw that out the water and go, yeah, that's sound, pick up as many points as you want, but you're not picking up any today. We're coming and getting all 3 points. And like I said, certainly given the circumstances last week against Leeds United, some Evertonians might sit there and say, no, do you know what, that was a fair result at a point against Leeds United. I know chatting Leeds, Charlie's in the live chat. We will get involved in the live comments in just a moment. By the way, if you're enjoying, by the way, hit the like button. It literally only takes a second, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It means a massive amount to me. If you could share the stream as well, that would be absolutely perfect. But for me personally, last week, like I said, being there in the stadium at the time, I think it was a missed opportunity. I really do think it was a missed opportunity. For me, Everton should have gone out and got all 3 points. We really should. It was disappointing. You know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's chances, the Seamus Coleman chance towards the end, the Michael Keane header. You look at the game and you look at the chances that we had, and you think, we should have taken all 3 points, especially given the fact we all sat here on the Friday before and said Leeds United will give us opportunities, Leeds United will give us chances. There'll be times in the game where we have opportunities to maybe go 2, 3, 4-1 up and just completely kill the game off, and there was Dominic Calvert-Lewin slots that 1-on-1 at 2-1, we go 3-1 up, then Leeds have to come out even more, we probably push them again, get another one, and then it's completely game set and match then for Leeds. So for me, again, there's still a little bit of disappointment about that game. I'm over it. I'm not upset. I'm not losing any sleep over it because it was the second game in the season and it was a difficult game. But I just do think there was a missed opportunity to get all 3 points, and I don't want tomorrow to be the same. I don't want us to be sitting here, you know, doing the instant match reaction and the player ratings tomorrow afternoon and saying, do you know what? You know, we had chances to win that game. We should have won that game. Let's hope we go out and actually do win the game, and then we can be sitting here saying, do you know what? It's a good win. Ultimately, you know, 7 points out of 3 games is a really good return. 7 points out of 9. What we don't want is to be looking at, you know, sort of 5 points out of 9 or even worse, you know, 4 points out of 9. So hopefully we can go out and do the business tomorrow. Like I said, I fully expected Damari Grace to start, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan. We will talk about my predicted starting 11 in a little bit, so don't forget to stick around for that one. Like I said, if you're enjoying it, the thumbs up button, don't forget to subscribe. But there's no doubt this will be a difficult fixture. Brighton have coming in with loads of confidence, and it's up to Everton. Everton are coming in confident as well. Let's be honest, let's not just sit here and this isn't completely one-sided. It's not like Everton have lost their first 2 Premier League games and Brighton have won their first 2. Everton have had again, you look at Brighton start, they had Burnley away from home, okay, you know, difficult game on the opening day because, again, in front of a home crowd, I get that. Watford at home, Burnley away, Watford at home, again, not the most difficult of games, is it? Let's be honest. Watford are a side that, again, no disrespect to Watford, but Watford are a side that a lot of teams will beat this season, and I would expect Everton to beat. I would expect Everton to beat Burnley as well. Look at our fixtures. Southampton, yeah, you know, maybe you'd expect to beat them. Leeds, really difficult game at Ellen Road. So for Everton to get 4 points out the 2 games is a good return, and if we, like I said, if we make it 7 out of 9, then that is, you know, obviously that's ideal, and we should be going out and getting the win tomorrow. We really should, because although Brighton are a decent side managed by a good manager, if Everton have got any aspiration of finishing in Europe, and for the first time in a while, actually, we haven't really heard this Everton squad talk about aspirations or dreams. We haven't really heard Rafa Benitez talk about dreams. I was listening to the interview with new signing Andy Lonergan yesterday. Obviously, Everton, you know, brought in veteran goalkeeper Andy Lonergan in order to just give a little bit of backup because João Virginia's gone out on loan to Sporting, of course. And I was listening to his first Everton interview, and he was asked about goals and aspirations and where the club want to be at the end of the season and what we want to achieve. And he basically said, "Listen, I'm not going to say what we want. You know, we've all got our own goals and we've got a goal as a squad, but we're going to keep that quiet." And I thought that was really interesting because typically beforehand, you know, you've heard Carlo Ancelotti talk about European football and us finishing in Europe. Even Carlo Ancelotti even said that he'd prefer to finish in in Europe than win a trophy at one point during his time at Everton. Marco Silva always spoke about Europe and European qualification, whereas at the moment it seems like this Everton squad and Rafa Benitez is just talking about going out and winning game by game, and instead of looking at where we're going to be in May, let's look at where we're going to be on the the 28th of August, which is tomorrow, and against Brighton. And I actually think that's a really, really good way of looking at things, and it's a really good mentality, because you don't get carried away then. You don't get carried away in thinking, what's our goal and where do you want to be? And B, when it gets to April and you're 6 points off European football, as we were last season, you're not thinking, oh my god, the goal is European football, we've got to go and win the next 2 games or the next 3 games, and then you end up throwing them because you're absolutely cacking yourself like we were at times last season. So I quite like that. I quite like the fact that, again, as a fan base, as supporters, we the goal of the season hasn't really been vocalised. Now that goal may well be European football, and I would expect the goal of the squad to be to challenge for Europe, and if that is it, then you've simply got to beat sides like Brighton. Brighton are a decent side, like I said, but you've got to go away and pick up all 3 points, even in the difficult games. But it mightn't be. The goal might just be to finish higher than 10th, to progress in terms of league position. Who knows? But I thought that was really, really interesting. Anyway, let's get into the live comments before we do talk about my predicted starting 11 and talk about the game in a little bit more detail. As I've said, if you're enjoying the stream, please hit that big thumbs up button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Literally takes a second. Like I said, we'll be back live later in about an hour and a half or so, talking about transfers and rumours and this and that, and Moise Kean and Richarlison and Luis Diaz and all of that sort of stuff. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that live stream. And yeah, if you're new, hit the thumbs up button. If you're enjoying it, the thumbs up button. If you're watching live and you're thinking, he's chatting absolute nonsense here, I want to tell him, get involved in the live comments. If you're watching the video and you're thinking that, get involved in the comment section down below. Let's get into the live comments anyway. Cuba Boy says, hi up the effing softies. Hi mate, hope you're doing well, Bright says, the okay Cameron. Yes, I'm not too bad, my mate, hope you're doing well. Whammy says, still not a right back, what are we doing? Delph is injured. Yeah, again, for me, right back is number one priority, and I suppose that's another reason, without going off on too big of a tangent, that's another reason as to why selling Richarlison would be, again, even more silly for me at the moment, because we then not only would be selling one of our best players, but then the focus would sort of switch from right back, and I think right back would sort of just get put under the carpet a little bit, and it'd be, right, we need to go and we need to go and replace Richarlison, and probably rightly so as well, because can we do with the season with James Coleman at the back? Yeah, we'll probably struggle at times, we'll probably lose games, but yeah, probably can we do without Richarlison or a like-for-like replacement for Richarlison? Absolutely not. So, again, it's another issue added to, the already relatively long list of issues that we've got at the club at the moment, and right back is certainly, for me, right at the top of that list. We need to go out and bring in a right back. We really, really do. Paul Lennon says, yes, Cam, yes, Paul. Chatting Leeds, Charlie says, hiya, Cam, mate. Good luck this weekend. Should be a win against Brighton. Good game last week. Nice one, my mate, yeah. Hopefully, look, again, like I said, Brighton had a decent side and had a good start to the season, and they'll be full of confidence, but you've got to go out and beat sides like Brighton. If you've got aspirations of finishing in Europe, challenging with your likes of your Tottenhams, your Arsenals, your West Ham's play. Look at West Ham last week. West Ham went out on, was it midweek Monday, and they played Leicester, a side that, a lot of people have got in their predictions to finish in the top 4 or to really challenge that top 4 at least. And West Ham, albeit Leicester had 10 men, I understand that, but West Ham just went and absolutely blew them away. Now West Ham are a side that Everton are competing with. Everton aren't competing with Chelsea or Man City or Man United or Liverpool. Everton are competing with a West Ham. So if West Ham can go and blow a side like Leicester, who are a really, really good side and will almost certainly be fighting for Champions League this season, out the water, then we should be doing it to sides like Brighton. Again, no disrespect. Andy says, now then, Cam, now then, Andy, hope you're doing well. Really appreciate you joining, my mate. Whammy says, are we going to have any players? Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. One thing's for sure, we don't know whether we know Moise Kean won't be available because he's suspended either way. So when you don't see Moise Kean in the start or in the squad on tomorrow afternoon, it may be because he's moving on. It may just be because he's suspended and he can't play. EFC DZN says, thoughts on Diaz? Links, mate, looks a top player. He does. He's a very, very good player. Watched him against Manchester City in the Champions League for Porto. Very, very, very good player. A lot of the rumours at the moment are suggesting that it would take James Rodriguez going the other way on loan, and the reports reports are stating that they don't know whether James Rodriguez would want to do that. But like I said, we're going to cover all of that in the talk when we talk about transfers a little bit later on. Wayme says about Rayford Delph plays 8 minutes injured for 4 months. Is Moyes only out for Carabao Cup games? No, I believe he's out for domestic games as well, so Premier League games he is banned for. Wayme says, didn't see Godfrey in the training video. What has happened with Godfrey? Again, interesting on that, because I didn't see Ben Godfrey in the training video, but there was a lot of reports coming out from journalists who were at the game on Tuesday night, the Huddersfield game, as to state that Ben Godfrey has travelled with the squad. Now, Ben Godfrey wouldn't have travelled with the squad had he have not been out of isolation. So, given the fact that he's travelled with the squad, must mean that he's out of isolation. And if he's out of isolation, then the assumption is that he's been training at USM Finch Farm because he's out of isolation. And why would he not be training if he's out of isolation? It doesn't make any sense. So again, the hope is Ben Godfrey's available for tomorrow's game. I'm sure we will wait and see as to whether that is the case. I'm sure we'll wait and see as to whether that's the situation. But that is certainly the hope. Gord says, I'm home for a win and to be finally able to watch my first full match of the season since I've been busy during the first few games is right, mate, is right. Wayme says, hey, Gord. Scott says, hey, Wayme. Wayme says, not if we sell Richie, loan out in Kunku and don't sign a right back, then our left would be as dross as our right. So says, give Richie all the mate he wants if he goes. With defo getting Dan James. I'd like Dan James. I think Dan James on loan wouldn't be a bad signing, but not to replace Richarlison. Bright says, in time, he will have subbed as well, mate. Thank you very much, my mate. Aston says, you alright, mate? Just follow, keep it up. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that one. Loads of mad stuff going on in the comments. Dawn says, we need more than 3 signers. We need to improve a lot of positions, especially right back. I would agree, Dawn. I would absolutely agree with you there. And, you know, Rafa Benitez obviously spoke after the Huddersfield game about, you know, new signings. And he said, you know, hopefully we'll have a couple of new faces. So let's wait and see. Hopefully that doesn't mean that you will see a certain Brazilian Olympic gold medalist out the door, but we'll wait and see on that one. Yeah, like I said, back into the game then. If you're enjoying, by the way, please hit that thumbs up button. It means a massive amount to me. It'll be difficult. We know it'll be difficult going away from home, but it's a game that we expect to win, or I expect certainly to win as an Evertonian. These are the types of games early on in the season that you want to pick up as many points as possible, and we've got quite a tough running. After this, we've got Manchester United in early October. Obviously, we have Liverpool, I think, in November. And then you've got your typical December, November period where we play every one of the top teams in the space of about 3 days. So we need to pick up as many points as we possibly can in these types of games. And like I said, for me, as difficult as it'll be tomorrow, we've just got to go out and win. I think Damari Gray could really, really cause Brighton issues. I do. I think that pace down that left-hand side could cause problems. We know from previous encounters that, Shane Duffy, if he is to play at the centre of the defence, as good as he is as a physical centre-half, if you have a forward, a striker that's willing to run at him and run past them, then he struggles to keep up with that. Richarlison scored a goal at Goodison Park a couple of years ago where he just knocked it past Shane Duffy. Shane Duffy fell over and he just ran round him and slotted it in. So I think Brighton are a very tall team as well. Good in the midfield, obviously the likes of Yves Bissouma, very, very good player, but they've got some tall centre-half, the like of Shane Duffy, as we said, Lewis Dunk, big, tall lads. So our usual typical route one of get the ball to the wing and cross it in and hope Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets on the end of it may still work, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, of course, a big lad as well and a very, very good header of the ball. But I also think we should adopt maybe a different style going into this one. Who knows what formation Rafa Benitez will play? We'll get into my predicted starting 11 in a second. But I think sort of the best way to get round Brighton and beat Brighton isn't necessarily to throw balls into the box. Maybe that's what we'll do, because our route one is sort of get as many crosses into Dominic Calvert-Lewin and allow him to do the work. But I also think getting at Brighton, running beyond them, moving the ball beyond them with the likes of Damari Gray, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think that's Alex Iwobi. I think that's the best way probably to hit this Brighton side, because they're a tall defensive back line. They're not necessarily a fast defensive back line, and that's where I hope the likes of Damari Gray and Alex Iwobi can really threaten Brighton on the weekend. Anyway, let's get into my predicted starting 11 then. We won't wait around any longer. Let's get into my predicted starting 11 for this game. In goal, I've gone for number 1, Jordan Pickford. Obviously come out for the cup game against Huddersfield the other day. Asmir Begovic stepped in and done a decent job, to be fair. Asmir Begovic didn't really do an awful lot wrong. But I think, again, Premier League game, number 1, it's going to be Jordan Pickford, isn't it? And again, no issue with that whatsoever. Jordan hadn't put a foot wrong in the opening 2 Premier League games of the season. You know, made a couple of really big saves and didn't really make any mistakes. So no issue with Jordan Pickford being the number 1. Being, you know, in the side, and he should be, as he is the number 1, isn't he? So yeah, Jordan Pickford in goal. Back line, I've gone for Luca Dean at left back. Had to come on against Huddersfield, of course. Niles Nkunku started that game, come off. You know, in the second half, and Luca Dean had to come on. Not ideal having to bring Luca Dean on. Ideally, I would have liked for Luca Dean to have had a little bit more of a rest, maybe spent the entire 90 minutes on the bench and not have had to have been called upon. But look, at the end of the day, listen, you know, he had to come on. He didn't really do an awful lot in terms of exerting any sort of real energy. He changed the game in terms of his presence and his defensive presence, but he didn't really get involved massively to the point where you're thinking, oh, he's not going to be available for this game tomorrow. I would assume that Luca Dean is more than able to be available for tomorrow's game. And again, you know, it's probably the position in the pitch that there's least any selection issue with. So there's no selection issue with. So Luca Dean at left back for me. I've gone with Ben Godfrey and Yerry Mina at centre back. Now, obviously, as just mentioned, then we don't really know what's happening with Ben Godfrey. As reports have stated, he is out of isolation now, so technically he would be available for tomorrow's game. However, I don't know whether he'll be at the optimal level of fitness to play the game. Obviously, with being in isolation and being stuck at home, he hasn't been at the training ground. I'm sure he's still been keeping himself fit at home. With, you know, I'm sure he'll have been given a routine for the club to work on if he was, you know, as long as he was obviously okay and fit and well to do it. But that doesn't mean, you know, a home routine doesn't mean that you're able to go out and play a Premier League game of football. So a little bit on a whim or with Ben Godfrey as to whether or not he will play or not. Hopefully he does, because for me, again, alongside Yerry Mina, they're our best 2 centre halves. I think that's our best centre back partnership. And, you know, obviously, we know the mistakes that Michael Keane has made over the last couple of games or so. Again, made the mistake the other day against Huddersfield, didn't he? Mason Holgate. Not a lot of confidence in there with Mason Holgate either at the moment. So, hopefully Ben Godfrey is available. If he's not available, I would probably say I'd put Mason Holgate in there over Michael Keane. I just think Michael Keane needs time out the team now. I really do. I think he's massively struggling at the moment, whether that be with pressure, whether that be with confidence. I just think he's massively struggling, so I think he needs a period out the side. And look, although Mason hasn't been amazing, he hasn't really done an awful lot wrong in the first couple of weeks of the season. So I'd probably rather Mason Holgate in there next to Yerry Mina than Michael Keane, but we'll wait and see. And then, of course, like I said, next centre half is Yerry Mina. Absolutely brilliant against Leeds, ball magnet, everything that come anywhere near him he dealt with. He showed why he is our best centre half, in my opinion, why, you know, he should be in this side week in, week out, as long as he's fit. Obviously, he was given a rest for the game against Huddersfield, didn't feature in that game. And we know that obviously he's been in the training videos and the training pitches over the last couple of days. So Yerry Mina partners, either Ben Godfrey or Mason Holgate in the centre of the defence for me. And then, of course, Seamus Coleman at right back. Again, given a rest the other day against Huddersfield. And the hope is that he's back to, you know, a prime level of fitness for tomorrow's game. Into the midfield, then I've gone with Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré, both rested for the game against Huddersfield. Both didn't feature whatsoever, and I think the reason for that is because they'll be playing tomorrow. Obviously, we saw Jean-Philippe Gbamin against Huddersfield. He done well, considering it was his first competitive start at Everton for 473 days, I believe. There was a couple of times where he lost the ball maybe a little bit sloppily, and he maybe should have done a little bit better, but again, you know, to give him his due and to cut him a little bit of slack, it was his first competitive game for a long time. So fair play to him. He stepped in, he done a decent enough job. Do we think he'll start tomorrow? No. Do we think he should start tomorrow? Probably not. I don't think he's at that level to keep up with an Yves Bissouma and a Brighton midfield that have got a lot of energetic players in there that could almost certainly trouble Everton. I think you need an Abdoulaye Doucouré in there who you know is going to get about the pitch, you know, constantly and cover every blade of grass, and every time the ball's in the air he'll be there. And I think that battle between Abdoulaye Doucouré and Yves Bissouma could be the battle to decide who wins the game and who doesn't win the game tomorrow. And then of course Alan next to Abdoulaye Doucouré. I thought Alan was exceptional against Leeds, absolutely exceptional. Was very good against Southampton the week before. Some people seem to believe he wasn't, but for me, I thought he was exceptional against Southampton, and again, absolutely brilliant against Leeds last week. So Alan partners Abdoulaye Doucouré. On the wings, I've gone for Alex Iwobi and Demarai Gray. Demarai Gray, of course, coming on the other day and changing the game in terms of his energy, his pace, his ability to run at players and get beyond the Huddersfield defence and really cause them some issues. Obviously, Alex Iwobi on the other side, again, really good goal against Huddersfield, and has showed in the first couple of games of the season what you can get out of Alex Iwobi if he's really playing at his highest level. He's done this a couple of times at Everton, where he started seasons really, really brightly, and then he sort of just fell off. Hopefully, this isn't one of those seasons. Hopefully, this isn't one of those situations. Hopefully, we continue to see, what Alex Iwobi can bring to this side, and how positively he can affect this Everton team. So I've gone with Alex Iwobi and Demarai Gray on the wings, and then I've gone with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front. Obviously, a little bit of little bit of speculation regarding Richarlison and his future at the moment, but he's a professional. He spoke, obviously, when he returned to the football club after the Olympics, about always giving 110% for the football club, and the fact that the club allowed him to go out and achieve his dream is the reason as to why he'll always give 110%, and he'll always work his hardest, and I fully expect that statement to be in full flow tomorrow, regardless of the speculation about his future, whether or not he'll stay or go. Like I said, we'll be talking about that in about an hour's time. I fully expect him to get his head down and work hard tomorrow. For either reason, if he wants to stay at Everton, he'll get his head down and work and show that he wants to stay at Everton. If he doesn't want to stay at Everton, then it's another chance for him to show whoever it may be, PSG, that he's good enough to go there. Although that is absolutely heart-wrenching to think about, and even more heartbreaking to say. But yeah, like I said, I fully expect Richarlison to be in the starting 11 tomorrow, along with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And although Everton may opt to that ball into the box and try and get as many crosses into Dominic Calvert-Lewin as possible, I do think there could be an area of Brighton's defence to exploit in giving, allowing Demarai Gray to have the ball, allowing Alex Iwobi to have the ball, and telling those players to run beyond the defence, knock the ball behind your Shane Duffys and get in behind and try and create chances that way. We saw it last season against Brighton. Again, we had a lot of luck on the counter attack and hitting them with pace on the floor. So hopefully we can do that again on this occasion tomorrow. It's going to be a difficult game. We know that. Brighton are in good form and have started the season well, but certainly a game that Everton should be winning, let's be honest. And hopefully Everton go out there and put out a really, really strong team and get another 3 points to make our good start to the season even better. Let's get into the live comments before we finish up the live stream then. Josh says, who would you like to replace Richarlison? Nobody, mate, because I really don't want Richarlison to leave. I really, really don't want Richarlison to leave. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that big thumbs up button. It only takes a second. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Wayne says Brighton could be in trouble. Brighton can be trouble, but Mopey went off last game with a shoulder injury, so hopefully he won't play and we'll go nowhere near signing him. Yeah, well, look, again, he did go off with a shoulder injury. I think there's been an update regarding Neil Mopey and Danny Welbeck to state that they both will be fit. I'm pretty sure I read that on social media before, so we'll wait and see. Alex says Begovic has conceded 3, and the offside goal for Everton, all of them was from set pieces. Yes, again, set pieces seems to be our kryptonite at the moment, doesn't it? The other day we were dreadful. Every time a ball come into the box, you're sort of looking at it thinking, are we going to concede again here? And that's why I think Yerry Mina is such an important member of this Everton squad, is because he isn't afraid of set pieces. Every time a ball comes into the box, he clears it, he gets rid of it. There's no issue there, there's no problem, there's no anxiety, there's no, oh my god, what's going to happen here? Whereas I think with Michael Keane and Mason Holgate, when set pieces coming in, and to an extent Asmir Begovic, as you said, there's a little bit of, oh my god, what's this about? What's going to happen here? That's why, like I said, for me, Yerry Mina's our best centre half. A ball comes anywhere near the 6-yard box, and Yerry Mina's just throwing either his body, his head, his arse, his elbow, whatever it is, he's throwing himself at it, and 9 times out of 10 he's getting that ball out. Where are we? Where says, Bright says, seen the joke from George Carlin, these are not in the club. Don't know what you're talking about there, my mate, but there you go. Whammy says, I'll be worried if Godfrey isn't back. Holgate, Keane and Mina are all terrible at left centre back. I put Holgate at left centre-back, to be honest, allow me in at right centre-back, and just basically say to Holgate, just don't do anything stupid. Alex says Brighton should be no worry for me. For Everton, expecting a 2-0 win. Let's hope so, my mate. And Wayne says, presuming his boss in the midfield, so hopefully we won't play 3 centre-backs and 2 mids like we did against Huddersfield. I don't think we will, to be honest with you. I think we'll see the typical sort of 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 formation. But anyway, look, let's just hope we can go out and get the 3 points. A lot of speculation at the moment, but there's a game of football to be played tomorrow, and the most important thing is we go out and get all 3 points in that game. Big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you can get the stream to 14, 15 likes before we finish, that would be absolutely brilliant. If you're watching this YouTube video, get your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we will get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. Massive thanks to everybody for watching live in the live comments. Really do appreciate it. As I said, we'll be back in about an hour or so with another transfer talk video. We're going to be talking about Moise Keane, we're going to be talking about Richarlison, we're going to be talking about Luis Diaz, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, don't forget to join us for that one. But there's a game of football to be played tomorrow. Like I said, let's hope Everton can go out and get the 3 points. Difficult game against the good Brighton side, but, you know, a game that Everton should be more than good enough to go out and win. Wayne says, if Holgate is left centre-back, he doesn't pass left, so it totally shoots on attack. Yeah, fair play. I see where you're coming from. There's definitely issues there. Anyway, big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Cheers for watching, and we will see you soon on the Mighty Blues. See you after.